Welcome to the Two Disabled Dudes podcast. We believe life is about how we react. Welcome to the Two Disabled Dudes podcast. We are live. This is our fourth live episode. It looks like there are a few people online right now, and we're stoked. So if you're online, why don't you check in, just say hey and where you're from. I'm looking at the chat right now so we can see. There's Peter, and we've got Ryan, and sweet. So, Sean, first of all, where are you? Because you normally record at home, but can you let us know where you're at?
Yeah. So, hi, Mike from Morgan. He added to the chat. Sorry.
Yep. Got it.
So, for these live recordings, I'm doing it in my office space at my day job. My particular team, we never work on Sundays, so Sundays are always off. That means the office and our rooms are usually pretty open and available. For going live, we need very strong and reliable internet. I'm sure you can imagine.
Of course.
When we're recording and posting later, it doesn't matter because everything records clean and it still looks good. But live, you don't have that luxury of, letting it do its magic afterwards. So where I live, Kyle, it's a really beautiful neighborhood, but it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. It's several miles away from the freeway, not in the middle of nowhere, but a good 5 miles.
Yeah.
And I'm convinced the closest satellite tower for internet, phones, etc., is next to the freeway. So my phone calls aren't great at home. My internet's not great at home. So I come into the office because it's more reliable service.
Yeah.
Which should give us a better, higher quality visit while live.
So Sean lives in the sticks. I think that's the takeaway.
Yeah. Well, it certainly gets served like the sticks, but it's not that bad. It's only a couple miles.
Yeah. All right, Sean, we are going to have one of our friends on in a couple minutes.
Sweet.
But I want to show a quick photo of something that happened last week. So Howard, one of my friends from Pennsylvania, was on the podcast, and then later that day, he sent me this photo because we were talking about Walker's Pub in London. So check this out. So we were talking about the fact that I sent, hold on, sorry, here, okay. I took this photo on the right because I thought it was funny that it said walkers and there's like 5 steps there, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, not welcome for wheelchairs. And then Howard was like, I think I've been to that place. And he sent me this photo, the one on the left. So
that looks about right.
He was gonna go have a beer there in a couple weeks. He goes to London for work every once in a while. So
sweet.
That was kind of fun. Yeah.
And for those of you that are listening later in the recording or, later in life, that conversation about London will be available soon in episode 280. What you're listening to right now is 281. So just go back one.
Wait. Good deal. So before Ben gets here, because I think it's going to be here in a minute, I hope. And, oh, here he is.
Hey,
here
there he is.
Ben.
Perfect timing.
Nice
Ben.
work.
How's it going, guys?
Fantastic.
Good.
How are you?
Good. Do I sound okay? I was just
You
getting the
sound
audio set
amazing.
up.
And
Dude,
for the record,
whatever you did.
you're already on. Like the whole world can see and hear you right now.
Yeah, story of my life. I'm excited to be here. I'm glad the whole world is around.
We are glad you're joining us. Thanks, man.
No, thank
It's
you
good
for
to
having
see
me
you
on.
again. You look fantastic.
Oh, wow. I'm getting
A-
so many compliments. I don't know how
a-
to handle this, guys.
I mean, I haven't seen you in person in
Yeah.
a handful of years, but
Yeah,
I
think
remember a different Ben.
it's from the, probably the last time we saw each other was the before times.
Yeah.
And that's been a while. But you look amazing too, Sean, as always.
Thanks, Ben.
Hey,
That's what I was. That's
cool.
all I was
Don't
going
worry
for.
about me.
Yeah, no, you don't have to cast far when you're fishing for compliments with me.
That's amazing.
Ben, this is one of the reasons we like hanging out with you. We love the banter, and we've been friends since we came to Sanford, maybe when you were a scientist at Sanford, right?
Yeah.
And you ran the global registry there.
Yep.
And so we're excited to talk to you. I was about to do your intro before you joined, but this is perfect because you've been a scientist for a long time. You were the leader of this rare disease registry that I mentioned. And you have a lot of friends in the rare disease community, including us. We're really excited to be friends with Ben.
Yeah.
And so you are now working on you have a company called ZebraSight Studios, making websites for rare disease organizations focused on rare disease advocacy. And I read something on your site that says you have a lot of rare disease friends, but no one has time to work on a website.
What?
And so I think that's a really good observation because I can see that as well. But it seems like an opportunity for our community, but for you too to follow what you love to do.
Yeah.
So tell us maybe just how you got into this to set the stage for our conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, again, thanks for having me on, you guys. It's awesome to catch up with you anytime, but to be able to be a guest on Two Disabled Dudes podcast it's a dream of mine. Since I was a wee
Low
child.
bar.
Wee lad.
So, so everything you said is true. I started my career as a researcher. My background is in cell and molecular biology, and we studied rare conditions, including Friedreich's ataxia. It was one of the projects that I had for a couple of years straight, working on mitochondrial disorders. And out of that experience, I was given the opportunity to work with CORDS, which is a large free international rare disease patient registry. And it's sponsored by my former employer, Sanford Health, which is a large hospital system in the Midwestern part of the United States. As part of that, I was able to work with advocacy groups up close and personal and work with folks to see just exactly where their research strategy falls, kind of help guide some of that development. And then talk about the best practices for gathering data, disseminating data. How do you work with researchers, and those kinds of things. And I did that for about 10 years. And along that time, I met just the most amazing people on earth, the two of you included. And the thing that was evident to me was that there's a lot more. I mean, obviously, there's a lot more than just research going on in running an advocacy group. You have fundraising, you have events that you're planning and sending out. You've got all of these different planned programs and pushes that you're going to put out there. And one of the big things that is left at the end of the day is there's not very much time or help. And so my observation over time was that you have a lot of folks that are in patient advocacy because they have to be. It's like where life took them. And now they're stuck with like, okay, now I'm going to run a nonprofit organization and manage the entire web presence of that thing. And I always tell people that getting a website is pretty easy, but keeping a website is like incredibly hard. Yeah. And so while I was at Sanford, I went back to graduate school for business, focused on marketing, and I became really, really interested in this idea of how you can represent your organization online in a way that tells your story in a way that website is going to work for you, like another member of the org. If you had like a personal assistant that was doing all of that. So, so I had learned to code. I had learned to build websites and do all that stuff on the side during the pandemic as kind of I don't know if you call it a hobby, but it was just, fun learning things. And it became something that I really latched onto. And so I made a very, very predictable and, expected jump from biomedical research into web development. And it's a path.
Makes total sense.
It's a path that has been worn well for me. I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. It doesn't make any sense at first glance. It's like, what are you doing? But honestly, this is just a way that this was something that's a dream of mine. I've always wanted to own my own business. And ever since receiving my own rare diagnosis and understanding just the impact that advocacy has on a person's day, just any day, knowing that there are people out there that get it while you're having a tough time, and knowing that someone's out there doing the hard things to make life easier, even if not for you, for the next generation of patients. And I wanted to be a bigger part of that. And so this gave me an opportunity to help advocacy organizations meet their goals, both online, but just in general, and help in a bit more of a holistic way, maybe.
Something you said, Ben, it resonates with me because a few months ago, I launched a website for an event Kyle and I are doing with another podcast host. And I just got an email the other night saying I need to log in and update a few things, and I'm overwhelmed. I haven't even logged in yet, but just reading the warning that I need to go in and do stuff, I'm like, what?
Yeah, anxiety's like up here now for it's like, I don't know what that means.
And maybe it's fine. Maybe I just need to click a few buttons, but it makes me nervous.
Yeah. And it's its own language. You get emails like that, and it's like trying to communicate something fairly benign, but if you don't know the lingo, or if you're not really up on just exactly what it's talking about, it's kind of like getting an email from the IRS that's like, hey, so we haven't been getting your checks. I don't know what's going on with that, but you should probably figure it out. No,
and then you Google the problem, and it's like, oh yeah, just go in and re-update the first line in the WP345. Like, what? What do you? Yeah.
What do you mean, just?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Well, and the rare disease community is fairly used to Googling stuff and not having what they want come back. And so I think that when you're working in this sort of a space, there are unique challenges that general web design isn't really like poised to help you with. You do have to do some of that research. So you can hire a web development company to come help you with your organization. And I know organizations who have done that and had a lot of really good success. But you do have to put in some of that legwork to teach them about rare disease, and teach them about what's important to us in this community and how we differ from the pizza shop that they're building a site for at the same time,
So Ben, what are the elements that are unique to rare disease as opposed to the pizza shop?
Yeah, well, that's a fantastic question. A big one is the nature of the website itself. If I own a pizza shop, then what I need to do is speak to pizza eaters in my area. That's who I'm talking to. And so every word on that website, every image, all the colors, where things are placed, the way that buttons ask to be clicked is geared towards people who eat pizza. And if you've got that site SEO'd, it's people who eat pizza near me. And with rare disease, that's a harder task because you don't just have one person or one group that you're talking to. You want to speak to the community. You want them to know that you're there. The conversation I have all the time is that you put yourself in the position of that person who's just received a diagnosis. They're in the parking lot of the hospital. They're in their car and they've just Googled it and nothing came back. You're in business because you want to be the thing they see at that moment. You're the best poised to be the person that's got the website that they see at that moment. And so the competition becomes, how do I appeal to the community, but also have content, words, pages, buttons that are tailored specifically to researchers? How do I have buttons that are specifically tailored to corporate sponsors or for agency groups or things that, other areas that you're working with? And so there's a trick there in having one website serve multiple stakeholder groups. So that's one big thing. But I think that the biggest differences between the pizza shop and an advocacy group's website is that the pizza shop's website is their website. They're selling pizzas on there, but they've still got to be in the kitchen doing the stuff. An advocacy group's website is this amalgamation of all of these different online tools. You're collecting donations, which means you've got to be compliant with some stuff. You got to send receipts and you got to do all of that the right way. You're managing events. You've got webinars. You've got a monthly lunch and learn. You've got your 5Ks, your family conference, your scientific conference, anything. You've got that going on. You've got your CRM, so you're emailing people all the time. You've got your newsletter list and all of that. These are all typically like disparate tools. Separate tools that you have in different spaces, different logins, different subscriptions you're paying for, and all of that. And it becomes a real challenge to try to find a single stack of tools that's consistently used across the community and is put together in a way that they're going to work well together. And so there are challenges like that as well, just operationally. How can you have a website do what you need it to do? But at the very basis of it all, the pizza shop doesn't have to worry as much about international privacy law, GDPR, those kinds of things. So making sure your privacy policy is covering the people who are, or at least communicating the rights that people have when they're giving you their email address or they're giving you donations, those kinds of things. And then accessibility. This community is dependent on accessibility. If the accessibility features that people depend on aren't there on your site, it's that's something that people in the rare disease community are so much more, I guess, cognizant of. And so there are like pretty solid fundamental differences between a website I would build for a pizza shop or a shoe store and the website that I would put together for a rare disease advocacy group.
Right.
Ben, do you find yourself working more with organizations that are getting started or already established, or is it a good mix of both?
Yeah, it's a good mix. What I've really set out to do is put together a framework that tackles all of those issues I just talked about, and in a real cheesy twist, I call it a zebra site. So it's not a website; it's a zebra site, and it's basically a digital framework that has all of that in there, so that at the baseline, if a group wanted to get started and they wanted to start with their events, their donations, their CRM, their website, all of that content, patient resources, patient stories, everything all in one place, then the Zebra site can provide that. And if you're just starting out, probably not going to be real complicated. It'll be pretty straightforward looking website, but the system is there. All of the pieces are there. And as you grow and mature, it's infinitely scalable. For groups that are more mature, I have a number of those on the list, and we've been redesigning websites, putting a lot of these things in place. And I think that the real strength that we have, and I think it's something that you have to have when you're working with groups, is the ability to customize things. And so we custom code a lot of features and a lot of different things that go in because the tools and the resources just aren't available. So my favorite thing to do is meet a group, have a conversation. And I always tell people, I'll tell you a little bit about me, but this phone call is for me to learn about you. I don't, I've got my life to tell you what I've got going on. I only got this phone call to hear about what you have happening. And the best, some of the most rewarding things for me are hearing people talk about just the challenges that they're up against in their organization, and not even thinking about how they relate to the website, but then being able to say, man, okay, imagine if this and this were also tied into your website in a way that you didn't have to think about it. I could write script that automates that thing. And then you're not online typing and copying and pasting and doing all this stuff. It's just done. It just does it. And, to be able to see the stress just drop off of people's faces. Sean, you were just talking about getting the email. I'll get emails from clients that are like, "Whoa, what does this mean? What does this mean?" And oh, don't worry about it. I jumped in and took care of it. You can delete that. It's just, you get the most sincere thank you back because it's like, I was going to be thinking about that while I was trying to fall asleep tonight, and now I don't have to. So that's maybe a long-winded way of answering what was a really simple question.
No, all good.
One of the things that I love about the kind of the through line of what you were talking about is knowledge of rare disease. It's nuanced, and there are certain things, and I'm not going to go through a list because I can't even think of one right now, but I feel like sometimes at FARA, we work with a contractor and we're like, all right, you didn't quite hit the mark, but I can't really explain it. I love the fact that you don't need explaining for a lot of things, right? Because you're living in the rare disease community and you've been here for a long time.
Exactly. I think that's a big part of it. I've worked in this space for close to 15 years, and I've been a patient in this space since I was born. So it's kind of like whether I knew it or not, it's kind of a thing where you can instantly relate to people, because even though we might not have the same diagnosis, we've got the same challenges of working with really, really skilled, highly educated professionals that just aren't able to give us the answers that we're looking for.
Yeah.
I think that knowing just the nuances, the little ins and outs of the rare disease community overall is critical to being able to actually find creative ways to solve problems that groups are facing. Without them having to do a ton of legwork to try to explain and refine and explain and refine.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yep. So I have a question that I want to ask because you're here, and so I think all rare diseases come up against this where, if you type in Friedreich's ataxia, the first 10 things in Google is going to be Mayo Clinic and maybe the NIH and, Johns Hopkins. And you're competing against all these huge entities.
Yeah.
And so how do you address that, or at least think about it?
Yes. So that sums up the biggest SEO challenge in rare disease. How do you optimize your website for search engines so that when people type in the diagnosis or they type in support groups for X, Y, or Z, they see your website at the top. Google gives street cred to Medline Plus and Mayo Clinic and Johns Hopkins and all of those places for good reason. They have these really big, reputable resources that are out there. The problem is that they're not specific to that one thing. The Mayo Clinic or Medline Plus will have one page that's 3 paragraphs long about a given diagnosis. But because it's on that website, Google's like, this must be legit. And so the trick becomes teaching Google that, yeah, they've got a page on this, but I've got an entire website devoted to this one thing. And people will understand what I'm talking about much more than they'll understand Medline Plus because I have this thing. I can relate. I can talk about it. And so what we wind up doing are taking approaches. I have tools that I pay for, that give me the ability to see what people are searching for when they're landing on a website. And so when someone searches for something and they see Medline Plus at the top or Mayo Clinic at the top, then we can take a look at those as keywords and then use those keywords in an advocacy group's website strategically so that we can try to outrank them over time.
I see. Cool. So yeah, I bet it's a constant, just like game of cat and mouse, right? And like,
yeah, it
trying
is.
to compete. Yeah,
it really is. And SEO is becoming more and more complicated. I don't know whether or not we'll have like a net positive or whatever outcome with AI, but it's changing a lot of the ways that people use the internet. And it's breaking down across generations, across professions, and all kinds of stuff in a way that really hasn't been around since Google became Google. So we're kind of at this point where my kids have cell phones, and when they need to know something, they open the ChatGPT app and they ask it a question and it gives them an answer and they go about their day. Whereas a millennial, my generation, is used to Googling it and then reading through the first page of results. And if it doesn't have what you need, then you figure it must not be for you to know and you go about your life. No, but it's changing rapidly. And so it's a slow process to begin with. You make changes and then you wait 6 months and see how well you've done. So it's a slow roll, slow burn, or whatever you want to call it to begin with. You throw in the fact that you're not really just optimizing for Google anymore. And that can really make people start to think too much about it. And so what I mean about that is the goal of Google and the goal of ChatGPT or any of these tools is to keep you, the user, using their product as much as possible, because then you're going to see all the ads that they've sprinkled through it, and you're going to see the sponsored stuff that people have paid them for to be at the very top. And all of that. And so it's their business model. So when you're thinking about things like Google, they want to have as many as people as possible using their tool, searching for that thing. And so if your site is way more accessible than others, that sets you apart in a positive way, because that means more people are able to use that website and Google, and, it steamrolls from there. And so what I always tell people is, instead of going crazy with keyword research and injecting keywords into different places and doing all of that, there's not a guaranteed payoff for any of that energy. Focus on making a really crisp, well-done website where information is easy to find. All of your pieces are there. And one of the things that I like to do is meet with people who are like, I don't need a website redesign. I actually don't really need much at all. I just want somebody who's done this before to look at what I've put together and tell me how we're doing. And so I do website audits all the time. I'll take a look through people's websites. I record a video just like this of me looking at it, and it's got, they're seeing my screen and I'm talking through all the different parts. And then I send it over to them with some suggestions of how I would tackle it. And they can do whatever they want with that. They can make those changes. Of course, I'll throw a little thing in there to be like, this is how I would do that, and this is how much it would cost you to work with.
Do you ever do that just for fun? Like, have you ever gone to the Two Disabled Dudes website and thought to yourself, this is garbage. Here's some things we need to do.
I spent a little time on there, Sean, and
that's all you need.
This is I was like, this is an award-winning website. This needs nothing of mine.
So full of crap right now.
I was like, they should use this website while teaching kids about how to make websites.
Ridiculous. Hey, real quick, I do want to cut in since we have a handful of live viewers. We've got some people in the chat. I want to encourage everybody, if you're here, you're welcome to throw out questions, comments, whatever you want, jokes, whatever. We will open the floor up soon. We got somebody to try to call already to say hi. So I just want to throw it out there. We do have people watching, and we invite everybody to ask questions, whether it be of Ben or Kyle and I or all three of us. It's totally up to you. With that in mind, Ben, Gretchen is here. And it sounds like she wanted to say hi. She's a client of yours and has worked with you in 2 different organizations.
That's right. Yes. Does Gretchen just want to say she's here? Or does she have a question?
Well, I asked her
I was
for
going to be
a
like,
review
Gretchen?
because I was hoping she was going to roast you, but she said he has a really great billing structure. I feel like that's something you don't necessarily talk about or think about on the top line, right? But she said you have a really great billing structure and you're wonderful to work with. So,
thank you, Gretchen. Oh, I appreciate
She's pretty
that.
sure
That's awesome.
you're going to need more employees soon. So it sounds like she thinks you're doing well. And Andra is asking, who's your favorite new client?
My favorite new client?
There's probably no bias in that question.
Yeah, no, they're all my favorite, much like children. You love them equally, just in slightly different ways.
All right.
I love you, though, Andra.
Hey, Ben, Mike is asking, how do you establish credibility and overcome the needle in the haystack of info that you find on AI, ChatGPT, or Google, or anywhere else?
Yeah. How do you overcome that?
Yeah, how do you establish credibility to give yourself or that organization a little more, a little more street cred?
Right. There's a few ways to tackle it, but one of the things that I work with people on when they first start working with me is a platform that I use to help them give me the content for their website. And if you've ever worked with a web developer, it's like, yeah, I'll build you a website. Just give me all the stuff I need to do it. And that doesn't necessarily work real great in this sort of a format. And so I've got a guide that walks people through the system. And one of the things that I hit hard, and the things that I believe with every ounce of my being, is that the secret power of rare disease advocacy organizations, is storytelling. You tell your story better than anyone else will tell that story. And that story is what will make things happen. And so, I like to talk to people about incorporating parts of their website that you don't really think about right away, like blog articles. People are like, what is this, 1993? No, blogs are still a thing. And you don't have to think about it like blogging. You can just think about it as informational articles. You can put together, a good blog is going to have about 2,000 words. It's going to have some images. There'll be some information on there. There'll be an author bio, so about the author. And then you're going to cite every single source that you talk about in that blog. And if you're able to write really well to put that blog post together, that is something that you can optimize. So Kyle, going back to your question about how do you set yourself apart from the Medline Pluses and of those things, if you've got a ton of those blog articles and each of those blog articles is popular and it's linking back to your main website, those are indications to Google that your main website is actually the destination. And so there are some strategies and techniques that you do iteratively over time to try to make sure that you're setting yourself apart from the competition, but not competition. I guess it's competition. You're setting yourself apart from all of the noise on the internet, and you're basically saying that we are the authority on this. And and let me prove it to you. And so really,
Yeah.
really well done content through blogs or through video content is amazing. And if anyone's looking for a good example of that, I'm always like complimenting her, but a client of ours, Monica Jones, is the executive director of the Pediatric Epilepsy Surgery Alliance. And their website is a large website. It's been around for a long time. They've been doing a great job with it. But she has guest articles on there. All the information on that website, epilepsysurgery.org, is a great example of how you can approach writing content for your website. It has the sources cited. It has the author information there. She's got keywords sprinkled throughout. Those are really good pieces of content if you need an example for what I'm trying to describe.
Give us the website again.
Yes,
or the organization.
Yeah, the organization is called the Pediatric Epilepsy Surgery Alliance, and their website is epilepsysurgery.org. And they do a fantastic job online.
Speaking of, what's your website? If people want to check you out, maybe engage your services, where do they go?
Yeah. You can visit zebrasightstudios.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn or recently Facebook. I made a Zebrasight Studios Facebook account.
Recently?
Yeah, I'm really
for the
bad
business. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, I'm really bad at Facebooking. I'm like pretty miserable millennial when it comes to that.
Fair. I think Kyle and I can both relate.
Yep. Cool.
So we're hitting that 40-minute mark total, or 37 minutes total for Kyle and I, about 30 with Ben. We do want to open it up we have one question, somebody who's interested in getting your feedback on the website. Yeah. Ben, we'll send that to you in an email later on today with his email. Peter's really curious about the work he's doing in South Africa. Peter, thanks for asking. We will get that info over to Ben once the recording is over today. But again, want to open up to the floor. I know somebody tried calling, so we're happy to take phone calls if you're still there. If not, Kyle, I know you probably have a list of other questions. We can entertain some others.
Yeah, I wanted to. You were talking about reviewing websites that you do. So, what are some common mistakes or stuff that kind of make you cringe? Well, I don't know. We won't characterize your reaction. What are common mistakes that you see?
The biggest mistakes, I think, are font size. That's just way too small. Having the font color and the background color not enough contrast, so it can be hard to read. So you think about websites that have like gold font on a white background. It's kind of real tough. I guess probably the biggest thing across the whole internet, people are using their phones mostly more than the desktop or their laptop while doing their general browsing. And so it's pretty reasonable to expect that the majority of your traffic is going to be on people's phones. And so your website should be responsive to a smaller screen size. And so those are a couple of big things that we talk about a lot, just to make sure that people understand, even if you have to rebuild a page just so that it looks good on a phone, that's well worth it. It's time well spent.
Nice. All right. Well, Ben, we are so happy to have you on because we want people aware of your services. You are doing an amazing thing that is a real need. It's clear that it's a real need in the community. And from some of the comments, it's clear that you're doing a great job too. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for serving our community in this well-needed way.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. like I said, this is a place that I've been working in for a long time, but I get it. It's I belong here. This is where I want to spend the rest of my career. And this was a way that I thought I could step aside from, the career I've had and be a little bit more myself and just take the experiences that I've had and the things that I've spent time learning and help others. So that's the whole motivation behind things.
Hey, Ben, before we wrap up, can you tell us a little bit about your personal life?
Yeah.
You mentioned having kids. Like, I don't know. Tell us a little bit about Ben the human.
Yes. I am a human.
He is one. Wow.
That's it. Yeah. Unexpected.
Ben.ai.
Didn't see that coming.
I've been married for about little over 16 years. My wife and I have 4 kids.
Wow.
2 in middle school, 2 in elementary school, and we have 2 dogs. We actually foster dogs, and so every so often we'll have like a whole bunch of mutts running around, and
Wow.
and we help them find forever homes.
Yeah.
And I like to be active locally in the community. We do a lot of work with the school district, helping them. I have a side business that I kind of was born out of my woodworking hobby, but I sell and make things, and then donate the money to feed kids who live at risk of hunger here in the school district. There's
Wow.
I live in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and I think there's right now it's about 1 in 6 kids in the school district lives in food insecurity. So making sure that they've got a backpack full of food that they can take home on the weekends and get some calories so they can keep being kids is important to us. And so that's another thing that keeps us busy outside of everything else.
So when you talk about making the woodworking and whatever else,
yeah,
do you have a website for that, or is it just custom? Like people just call you and say, "Hey, can you make me a table?" Like how does that?
Yeah,
how do you run that business?
It's always kind of just been a hobby of mine. It picked up during the pandemic because I took so I took a hockey puck and made a mold, and I pack sawdust into this mold, mix it with some soy wax, and then I sell them as campfire starters to 40-year-old dudes like myself that want to impress their kids with lighting a fire on the first try, and you just nobody needs to know that you. But
does that work?
It sure does. But yeah, we wound up starting an e-commerce store. That was my first e-commerce store that I built, and we shipped those to all 50 states, and
wow,
you got a lot of that going. It's on the back burner because I'm doing this, but once I get things established, as the kids get a little older, I've wanted to reboot that. But right now it's on hold. So there's not a website you can go to.
Yeah. I don't camp a lot, but I would love a puck of sawdust that can easily be lit on fire.
Yeah, who doesn't? I mean, you light it on fire and you take a slap shot, you're just automatically the coolest guy in the room.
Andra is singing your praises too, labeling you a scientist, a dad, a dog dad, a husband, a woodworker, a community volunteer. You're pretty amazing. Those are her words, not mine.
Guest.
She did say you need bigger dreams. If your dream was to be a part of our show, you're dreaming too small.
Well, my biggest dream was to work with Lipodystrophy United, and that has come true. So now
all right.
It's like if I got to get on 2 disabled dudes and I've made it.
Hey, I'm curious about your background, Ben. I don't see any fuzzy edges. So is that wall behind you a real wall?
Yes.
With texture, not AI?
Right. Yeah. Woodworking. Yeah. I
love that.
Yeah.
You made that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's it was just kind of this cool geometric sort of thing. And so this is the accent wall, and
okay.
But yeah, a
That-
lot of people will be like, "Hey, your background's really smooth. Do you have a green screen or something?" I'm like, "No, this is just my wall.
This is real. That it looks sharp,
Thank
just
you.
like you.
Oh,
Nice.
you're far too kind."
Ben, I'm
Sweet.
so glad you came on today and
Yeah.
shared a little bit about your life and what's important to you and the way you advocate and support
Yeah.
organizations.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. If I can throw just one thing out that's a little more
Absolutely.
uncomfortable for me, but I'm sure lots of people are wondering, is the biggest question I get is, what does this cost me? And
Mhm.
so it's worth talking about, because I do build websites for biotech companies or for-profit companies, and that's the much more traditional business model, where it's like, all right, this is going to be a X dollar amount project. You need half up front, half at the end. And advocacy groups just don't have like a pile of cash waiting around to drop on a
Deep
website.
pockets.
And so I've structured the business model so that it's like more of a Netflix type thing. You get the Zebra site, we host it, we manage it, keep it secure, update things, optimize things, and we're on hand every single month for updates, for fixing things, supporting you in whatever we need. And to start, just the main Zebra site, that infrastructure I was talking about is $349 a month. And so that's just the base package, is just $349 a month. You have your entire web presence falling under one ecosystem. It's all going to work together. It's all managed professionally by a group of developers. And I'm excited, because while the money is my least favorite thing to think about and talk about, it is making professional web development accessible to nonprofit organizations that have been priced out of it, have been edged out of it, have had really bad experiences before with
Yeah.
people, ghosting them when it gets too hard, or just you wind up with something you're not happy with. And so I'm excited to bring this to the community as a way to support me and my family, but also as a way to provide like a very high quality level of professional service in a way that's hopefully much more approachable.
Well, that's wonderful.
I will say, that to me, sure, you think $349 a month times 12, that's some big money, or can
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is, if everything is taken care of, you don't have to worry about those emails about, hey, it's security risk, or hey, do some updates. Hey, does it look, when a consumer emails and says, your website's not working, all those things that are so incredibly stressful
Yeah.
and cause anxiety when you don't really know what to do or how to do it. $349 sounds like a pretty low price for that level of peace of mind and amazing functionality. So I'm really glad you shared that, and I would encourage listeners, anybody thinking about a redesign or getting launched. To me, it's worth at least trying out. Do it for a handful of months or a year or whatever, and if you regret it, I imagine you can always cancel. You can always
Yeah.
try something else. But something tells me there's probably very little regret when it's a plug and play, and people behind it are you and
Yeah.
your team that know exactly what we're up against in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, it's exactly. I need to cover my bases, but I want to
Yeah.
make sure that
Yeah.
that people understand that I'm here to take care of them in a way that they haven't been taken care of in this space so
Yeah.
far.
Beautiful.
And
So
if you think
beautiful.
about it too, but I was talking earlier about how people have those tools all over the internet. It's what that really looks like is, this is a $200 subscription, and this is a $400 subscription, and this is a
Sure.
Mhm.
and they're all kind of, they've got different renewal dates, and they surprise you because they automatically renew out of nowhere, and so I wanted to alleviate that too. People are
Yeah.
that's like a frustration for everyone. So if it's all just in one in one framework, you don't really need to think too much about it. I want to be there for them.
I love that. I think it's great. So, do you do podcast websites?
Yeah, of course. Are you kidding
All
me?
right.
It's our forte. No, I'm just...
That's how we started.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Well, I appreciate you guys so much, and the community that's listening. The reception has been amazing. I was really like, I won't lie. I left my full-time job to do this full-time at the beginning of the year, and that was like just terrifying. I mean, there's not a word to describe how scary that was, and wanting to do this, but also not having a personal presence in the space. It's, people are used to seeing me, if they're used to seeing me, it's because I talk about registries and not websites. And so I was like, oh, is this going to work? Is this going to be a thing that I can do? Will people get it? And it's just been so well received, and everyone is so supportive of it. And so just personally, being able to work with people and have them understand that I'm truly in their corner here, that's taken all of the fear off of my mind, and it's made it easier for me to focus in on just making sure we're putting together the best solutions for people.
Yeah. That's
Wonderful.
amazing.
Well, Ben, thank you for your work, and we couldn't think of a better person to be doing it. We really love hanging out with you, and we're looking forward to the next time. I don't know when that's going to be, but we're looking forward to seeing you again.
Yeah. Next time I'll be on one of those like live in person ones. Then we can do lots of high fives.
Ooh,
sweet.
There we are. Love it. Let's do it. All right.
Ben, thanks for being here today.
Oh, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. Love you guys. I hope you stay well.
All right.
Of course.
We'll talk soon.
All right.
Ooh.
Sweet.
I love that guy. That was fantastic. I love hearing about what he's doing and how he's doing it.
Yep. Absolutely. Sean, should we get into some thank you notes here?
Let's.
We know that gratitude is a thing that drives everything in our lives and makes everything better if we continue to think about gratitude in each situation. And expressing that has become important to both of us on this show. So, my thank you note goes out to Bridget Brennan. She is the head of advocacy at the Friedreich's Ataxia Research Alliance, and she's helping us navigate through this crazy world that is advocacy. September 17th, this will come out after that happens, but I still want to express gratitude that Bridget leads the Ataxia Hill Day in partnership with the National Ataxia Foundation and FARA. And so just so much gratitude for Bridget taking the lead on all that stuff and doing a really, really incredible job.
Nice. Thank you, Bridget. I'm saying thank you to a thing, if you will. I'm grateful for some sage wisdom from family and friends, or I guess mostly friends. I didn't really reach out to any family, but lately, Kyle, I'm on the hunt for moving. I'm ready to not buy yet. There's a lot in the background for where to buy and where to land. But I've been renting a room, a shared house for a while, and I'm just ready to not be in that scenario anymore and just be on my own. So anyway, been on the hunt around Sacramento. My office is getting ready to move. There's just a lot of things changing, so I thought, you know what, it's time to move my living quarters. So been hunting and fell in love with this beautiful newer building, luxury, just the whole nine. And got approved for a place that I was excited about. First floor, everything about it was perfect, but holy cow, expensive. And there were some other, traditional places that are a little more that are also beautiful and nice and have great amenities, but make more sense, more affordable.
Yeah.
And I just, one side of me was like, hey, let's live at large. Right now, I have the ability, the flexibility. I'll just enjoy it. But really, in the long term, some friends helped me recognize that, spending that kind of money every month, is that going to help you get closer to
Right.
goals you have down the road? And the reality of it is, no, it'd be a waste of money. So I convinced myself to just enjoy the luxury for a minute. I went out, I got everything started for this new lease. I was going to go today and sign paperwork. But man, once I got everything, all my ducks in a row, activated SMUD or, electricity and water and all that, I just started having some remorse. And I hadn't even signed the lease yet.
Mhm.
And I can't imagine how much worse that remorse gets once you lock into 12 months or 14 months of a lease contract, right? So I backed out of that, and I felt good. I don't have a place yet aligned, but I felt great with that decision
Yeah.
because, man, that would have been stupid money going to a beautiful place, but I'd rather pay my mortgage than somebody else's.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Well, that's wonderful to have a little bit of clarity. Those in between can be really tough. And, having people to talk to and friends to lean on in those situations, that's wonderful.
yeah, it took a lot of people saying the same thing before I realized, okay, this is foolish. Because I kept, telling myself, yeah, that's right. They don't get it. They don't get it. But when, 12 people are telling you the same thing, you got to realize, all right,
Yeah.
that they get it. I don't.
Yeah. Nice. Very cool. Thanks to everybody for tuning in and providing all their comments today. And thank you to Ben for being such a great friend in serving the community. If you like what you hear, please like and share the show. Sign up for our email list on our website at twodisableddudes.com to find out about our next live episode and all the links and times you need to be there. Until then, keep living with urgency. Thank you for listening to the Two Disabled Dudes podcast. This show is possible with your support. Visit twodisableddudes.com to stay connected.
Find us on Facebook and Instagram. And be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast player.